Good morning, friends, and welcome back to another episode of Morning Coffee with Cameron, the show where you don't know if I'm wearing pants or not. In today's video, I wanted to share with you guys 10 of my favorite free plugins for sound design and I guess music production as well. If you are new to production or sound design, either as a hobby or a career, I feel your pain in that it is very expensive and it can honestly be a little bit discouraging to see the high price tags of everything and that kind of barrier to entry. But a lot of these plugins I'm going to show you here today are actually really useful, really damn good, and even rival the quality of some of the expensive commercial plugins. Now, obviously, there are way more than 10 free plugins out there. These are just kind of my personal top 10 that I've gotten the most mileage out of and still continue to use today. If you've got free plugins you think people need to know about, drop those down in the comments below. And if you like what you hear in this video, you can find links to all of these plugins in the description. I've broken this video up into 3 different parts today: the utility plugins that are just all around useful things to have, the creative ones that are a bit more wacky and left field and just a lot of fun, and finally some synthesizers I think you really need to know about. For more semi-interesting facts, sometimes funny jokes, and sound design stuff, be sure to subscribe to the channel down below. And if you have a suggestion for a future episode of Morning Coffee with Cameron, let me know down in the comments. Here we are with number 1. This is TDR Nova by Tokyo Dawn Records. This is a dynamic EQ, and I actually don't know of any other free dynamic EQs. What's useful about this is it's a 4-band equalizer with a low pass and high pass filter as well, and the filters can actually go up to 72 decibels per octave, allowing you to automate them to create cool filter sweeping effects. But because it's a dynamic EQ, we can also use this to reduce resonances in a sound, which is incredibly useful. Here I've got a high pass, a low boost, and a high shelf as just regular EQs, and then these 2 bands are in dynamic mode, allowing me to reduce some resonances. What's also cool is you can solo out each band to hear the effect that band is having, and you can also go to the gain reduction delta, which allows you to hear only the stuff that's being reduced with the gain reduction in dynamic mode, which is really cool just to keep an eye on how you're affecting the sound overall. It's also noted that it is a parallel dynamic equalizer, so you can use the dry mix to bring back in a bit of the original signal if things are sounding maybe a bit weird. I've got 2 examples here: a drum mix that needed some resonances fixed, as well as just some general EQ, as well as a vocal sample with a really resonant frequency that's super annoying, just to show you how transparent this thing is. Let's take a listen. Next up here, we have our Lord and Savior, Cloudseed. I couldn't get through this video without throwing this plugin in here. I absolutely love this plugin. This is an algorithmic reverb that sounds unlike any other algorithmic reverb I've heard. The only thing I can compare it to is maybe something like Valhalla Shimmer or Eventide Black Hole, and even then it's just completely different. This is not a shimmer reverb, but it's designed to be a reverb that's meant to be really ridiculous, with tails all the way up to 60 seconds long. This plugin basically lets you turn anything into a pad or ambient droning soundscape and has a lot of controls and features to get really deep with the reverb design. To demo this here, I've got an initialized serum patch with a low pass filter, and then we're going to bring in Cloudseed at 100% wet to hear what it can do. Another great reverb / delay unit that's also free I wanted to give a quick shout out to is the new Valhalla Supermassive. This is similar in purpose to Cloudseed. It also acts as a delay unit, but is meant to give you those big, ultra washy reverb sounds. So let's take a listen to this on that same patch and hear what it does. Next up is Freeclip from Ven Audio here. This is a clipping utility that offers a bunch of different clipping types and is extremely straightforward and useful to use. This is perfect for getting that smashed, distorted, overdriven sound without the headache of guessing and just trying to clip things randomly and hope you get something good. This is great for anything from subtle analog heat like the arc tangent mode here, or hard clipping, total distorted brick-walled sausage madness. I find this is particularly useful for things like trap drum sound design or other modern genres that require that heavy distorted feel. Here I've got a basic drum loop and we're going to bring this in on the kick and take a listen to a few of the different modes. Next up, we have IVGI2 from Helm. This is honestly one of the better saturators that you can get. Now, what's unique about this is it's not just a straight up saturator, but it actually models some of the inconsistencies of an actual analog system. So as a saturator, it actually feels a bit more alive and a bit more character colory, which is really, really nice for adding just a subtle bit of bite and growl to things or cranking it all the way up and getting that totally overblown sound. As an added bonus from Helm, I wanted to also show the Mjuc Jr really quick because this is a fantastic one-knob compressor that sounds really, really good. This is based on a variable MU or tube compressor and also features that same nice gluey, lively modeling that they've somehow crammed into this. All you do is dial up some compression, set the time constants, and get some nice, thick, juicy sounds. Another really great saturator slash smashy destroy thingy is this here, and this is a bit more extreme. This is the SGA1566 from Shattered Glass Audio. This is designed to emulate an all-tube mic preamp system, and it actually does a very good job. And even at really extreme settings, it never really gets harsh, which is something I think is maybe a bit harder to do, and it's something that's not really common in some of the free distortion plugins. The only thing to know about this plugin is that the CPU use can get pretty intensive if you go into the high CPU mode, so you might need to render things out to audio, and it also offers up to 4x oversampling, which is really great to eliminate artifacts. Here I've got the init serum patch, and we're just going to bring this in and see what it does to it. Next up is Convology XT here, which is a convolution reverb, but what's unique about it is it allows you to load in your own samples and manipulate them and get really weird with it. As a reverb on its own, it's actually really decent. So I wanted to show you just the reverb on its own with just some of the included impulse responses, and then something a bit more creative and fun. The only thing with this plugin is that the plugin itself is free and it does come with a free basic library, but there are more paid impulse responses you can load in, so it's kind of a freemium plugin in a way. Here we've got Paulxstretch, which is the VST version of the OG Paulxstretch with a few added twists. You get the harmonics controls, ratios, tonal versus noise blending things, all sorts of stuff, all sorts of control to get really creative with. This is a lot of fun to experiment with, not only for big, lovely ambient drones, but also just creative sound design and taking something and just stretching it to oblivion and then bouncing it out to save and manipulate further later on. Next in my bag of tricks is one of my personal favorite kind of secret weapon plugins, and this is Glitch Machine's Fracture. This is a buffer stuttering delay effect, if that makes sense. You can use this as a normal delay, but that's not really where it shines. This is meant to take sounds and fracture them into a bajillion pieces and create these weird, stuttery, glitchy, IDM-y effects, and it's awesome. You can feed just about anything into it and get something really cool out of it, similar to Paulxstretch. The real fun of this plugin is with this little question mark right here. If I play this right now, I've just got this on some drums that are dry. We've just got kind of a delay effect, and if we hit this question mark, it will actually start to randomize these parameters. So you can just click this a few times and get something totally new out of it. Sometimes you don't get sound at all, and I'm not sure why that is, but with a few tries, you can get some really interesting glitches. This plugin is really great for those stuttery, glitchy, weird effects. It's great for generating textures. It's great for adding some grit and character to impact sound effects. It's great for creating risers. It's great for just weirdness in general. Rounding off this section, we have the Tal-Vocoder 2. Now, this is a pretty humble plugin, and it's pretty straightforward. It's a vintage style vocoder. It's really solid, it's just maybe not all that exciting, but why I recommend you check this plugin out is it has kind of a cool feature, which is the ability to use the left signal as the carrier and the right as the modulator, otherwise known as having a sound vocoding itself. And this is a lot of fun to mess with and manipulate. So here I've got just a set of really basic dry drum sounds, and then we're going to run them through this with the sounds vocoding themselves. If you experiment more with this plugin by pitch shifting the sounds and feeding them through this to vocode themselves, or adding the chorus here with the little chorus button, you can get a lot of really unique and interesting sounds, and it's also great for just getting some extra weird character out of sounds that you can't really get otherwise. With the bands and other controls, you can manipulate things and kind of change the overall timbre of the sound, but this is just one feature I think is really worth having, and it's especially handy for designing drums. Getting into the synthesizers here, we have Helm, which is absolutely free and is a fantastic synthesizer, especially if you're newer to synthesis. It's very powerful and very capable, but very easy to use because it's laid out very well and puts everything right in front of you. Helm is released for free as donationware. It's also open source, so you can check it out, mess with the code, and play about with it if you are so inclined. And you can also donate to help contribute to the development of a new synth called Vital, which is going to be pretty exciting. Helm has a really clean layout. The mod matrix is really straightforward. You can simply click on one of these little helmet things and assign it to something, and away you go. So it's really straightforward and easy. It has a very clean and crisp sound all around, so it's very neutral and very straightforward, and is a good starting point for an intro to synthesis. To close this list off, we have what I consider probably the king of synths that money just can't buy because it's free, and that is Surge. This originally was closed off, but is now open and has been continuously improved on and developed and has turned into a really ridiculously powerful synthesizer. This offers virtual analog / subtractive synthesis. It also offers FM, it offers wavetable, and it can even act as a vocoder, making it a really good all-around tool. It's very flexible, it's very powerful, it's very easy to use. It does take a bit of getting used to as the UI is maybe a bit dated, but it is incredibly powerful. The other great thing about Surge is it has some really high quality effects, making it a great all-around synth for just about every application. It's kind of like a free version of Serum minus a few features, but plus a few others. The other great thing about Surge is it also supports MPE, so if you have an MPE compatible controller or device, you can use MPE inside of Surge. To close this video off, I wanted to give two honorable mentions to things I think that are also really worth owning that just don't actually do anything themselves, but are very useful. First up is Signalizer here. This is a multimetering tool that offers a vector scope to keep an eye on the stereo image of things, an oscilloscope to look at the waveforms, which is incredibly accurate and handy and just looks really cool, as well as a very accurate and fast spectrum analyzer, which you can use to keep an eye on how your sounds look and how everything is going. This is great for mastering, this is great for mixing, this is great for sound design. This is just a great free plugin that you need to own. Finally, the last thing I think you need to own is the Melda production suite, which is absolutely free. It comes with a whole mess of plugins that are all really fun to manipulate. I really like the pitch shifter, especially as a formant control to shift the formants of sounds and get something a bit more interesting and creative. There's a lot of really powerful tools in here, and they're all very useful and very high quality. And that wraps everything up for this video. If you've got some plugins you want to give a shout out to, drop a comment down below. Other than that, I think we are done here. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys again soon.